Rolling? Rolling. On today's honest video, it's not a review, it's an honest talk. It's honest, that's what it is. We're gonna talk a little bit about music for videos. And this is coming because I actually just got an email from AudioBlocks, which is one of many music subscription providers out there, that my subscription had automatically renewed. And that is always one of the most painful emails to get, because you've now parted with, in this case, $150 of my money for a subscription service that I don't want and have no need for. And unfortunately, this isn't the first time that it's happened to me. And the last time I tried to get a refund and couldn't get a refund, I will say much has changed, and they did give me a refund this time, which is I'm so thankful for and grateful for. So thank you for that. But it triggered all this long list of memories, how I realized that early on when I was creating videos, my music, it sucked. It wasn't good. And that led me to thinking of why. And to be honest, it was AudioBlocks. That's what I used for the first, year or 2 years of my music for videos, because I didn't know any different. I was like, why did I end up picking them, and why didn't I use anybody else? And I remembered, which led to, it's going to lead to a bit of a bigger conversation, but I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted to start taking better photos, primarily for my kids, to make better memories. And I had this Canon T3i I bought, and I didn't know how to use it. And so I went on YouTube and I started Googling like tips for photos or something like that. And up popped a guy named Jared Poland, Frono's Photo, Jared Poland, who had all these videos. It was actually kind of weird. I remember the first video, I distinctly remember the first video I saw. He was sitting in a director's chair in this loft apartment with this big afro, and just seemed like a bit of a douchebag. But I started listening to him, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And these videos are extremely helpful, and he has a ton of content. And so I just started binge watching tons of his content, taking the tips and tricks, trying them out. Got a 50mm f1.8 prime lens, changed the game when I started applying all this knowledge, and I started getting a lot better at photos. And then he had this guide of how you can take your photo camera and make videos out of it. And I was like, I need to get this. And I bought the guide, and it was really, really helpful. One of the things that they talked about in there was music, and that you are going to want music for your videos. And he was talking about this fantastic subscription you could get to VideoBlocks and AudioBlocks, which VideoBlocks gave you kind of stock footage you could mix in there. And they were always using AudioBlocks for music. And he said it was awesome. And I really, really trusted him, because this is what he was recommending and what they used there. And so I bought it, and I scoured the library, and I used, I think, all the best songs that they had over the course of, shortly afterwards, I started doing the vlog thing, made 180 vlogs in 7 months, plus a bunch of other videos. I think, some for companies, some for all sorts of things. And I was using AudioBlocks. And all on the way, I was like, this music isn't great. I'd watch other creators like a Casey Neistat, and his music was awesome, but I figured, he had these special deals with different people, and I thought I was just relegated to having to use this okay music. And especially now, looking back on it, the music was it was really not good. I don't want to slag the artists that put stuff on there, but when you know what else is out there, it's not good. But at that time, I didn't know what was out there, and this was the recommendation that I got. And I've since got into, I used Artlist for a little while, which, if you're not familiar with them, that's another great subscription service where I would say the music is really, really good. They don't have the breadth of offerings that Epidemic Sound has, but it's maybe a little bit more niche, depending how you want to say that. And so I've had experiences on Epidemic Sound where I find a great track and I drop it, it's a new track, and then I watch 4 other videos that week from other creators, and we've all picked this great new song that is fantastic because, we've been through the library enough, and when something's new. And Artlist, I've yet to ever have that happen because they're a little bit more niche, so they're a good one. But Artlist and Epidemic have songs that I feel like really move you, whereas AudioBlocks was much more cheesy, gimmicky music, and Music Bed as well. I haven't used them a ton. I have friends that have, and they seem to have, good quality stuff, but it wasn't like AudioBlocks was so much cheaper than everybody else. It wasn't $20 a year. It's still $150 a year, similar to these other subscription services. But again, it was all I know, and it was a recommendation I got from somebody that I trusted. And it's one of those things looking back on where I figured Jared probably knew that it maybe wasn't the best. It was still fine, but he was making it go, and he's a full-time content creator. And so if the business of it makes sense, and I don't know what that arrangement looks like, but I'm assuming that he had a good business arrangement with video blocks and story blocks that made it really viable for him to be able to recommend it. Because I'm sure it's still like, it's fine. Like it's not atrocious. It's not like a complete rip-off. I mean, comparatively, I personally don't think it's anywhere near as good. Their sound effects are okay, but the music side of it, not. It doesn't hold up. It's not nearly as good as Epidemic or Artlist or some of these other platforms. But that's the decision that he made to recommend that, and in some ways I feel like I fell for it. Now, I could have gone and done a whole bunch of other researchers, but this was a guy who really helped launch my photo career and video career, got me started down a path of becoming a creator. And, I just trusted him immensely. And to this day, though, it is one of those like sore spots with me where I'm like, God, I just wish that hadn't been the thing that you recommended, because I feel like my vlog would have been so much better with quality music. But I just didn't feel like I had access to it. And especially once you make that initial investment, when you're starting out, you spend $150 on music. You don't just want to throw that away and try something else and spend more money. You feel like you're kind of locked into it. And so honestly, yeah, I wish creators out there had the ability to recommend the best products that they believe in. And some do. And I'm not going to speak for Jared to say that at the time he may have thought that was the absolute best product out there, and maybe 4 years ago it was, maybe. But I see a lot of other people who had much better ways to get access to music, but I know it was a business decision. I know that there was a business behind it, and he was getting paid off of it, and it was a partnership that in some ways I am also thankful for, because that partnership enabled him to create all the other content that I found helpful. And that's always one of the really big struggles with this whole YouTube world, is it can be easy to fault creators for every single one saying this video is sponsored by Squarespace, and they read the standard stock Squarespace content and you're like, guys, like, can you just be more creative with this? But then on the other hand, you want their creative energy to go into creating the content that really matters to you, and they would have to spend some of that to create something that was slightly more interesting as well, that Squarespace is paying them for the video, which gives them money to be able to create. And that's ultimately what we want. And that's what's tough in this whole world, is it is so difficult to find your way through without making some compromises along the way, because you have to get paid. Personally, I wish TV and radio had no commercials. I just wish they didn't have any, because I don't enjoy listening to the commercials. But those commercials are the things that pay for you to be able to consume the content that you want. Same thing with YouTube. You can be like, I wish they didn't have ads at the beginning. I wish they didn't double up the ads at the beginning. And maybe somebody's getting rich off these. It always is the case, but ultimately at the end of the day too, they also enable the creators and the show producers and the editors and the people behind it that have jobs. You maybe don't like it, but it does allow them to do what they do. I just wish that there was a way that every creator could actually make a business case with companies that they really truly believed in. And here's the thing that I think I've learned over the process of a big part of the reason why we didn't make it as Justin and Greg is because we oftentimes turned down deals that would have paid us good money, but we just couldn't get behind the product or the service, or we felt like it wasn't the best thing, or that we couldn't honestly get excited about it. And it was a lesson that we learned early on when we did take a gig where we promoted an event that the event promoters told us this event is going to be awesome. And so we believed them, they said all these things, and so we created all these videos promoting this thing, and when we got there to the event, it was terrible. It wasn't a good event, and we had people showing up that believed us, and we just kind of had to say, guys, we're so sorry. We at the end of the day, though, had to own it, because we were the ones who promoted it, believing what somebody had told us. And they paid us to do it, and it seemed like it was going to be good, but that was a lesson. That was actually the first month that we decided to go full-time being content creators, took this gig. It seemed like it was going to be awesome. And it was something that was a good lesson for us early on. And we had a number of other situations along the way where if we felt uncomfortable about not knowing whether something was going to be good or was a product that somebody wanted us to promote that we're like, yeah, like it's only okay. They're even offering money and maybe good money. We just didn't want to play that kind of short-term game because long-term we knew that would ultimately hurt our brand. The other side of it is now we're not creating content full-time, and maybe that had been the difference. I don't know though, and I also I just couldn't do it. I couldn't build a business that way. And so it's tough. I think there's a lot of good products out there creators are promoting, but I don't know if they're the best product, but they're the ones who are offering the money, and that's what allows them to create content. And so it's tough. It's tough. And so I would say take everything that gets promoted to you by even people that you trust with a grain of salt and be careful. I'll tell you, if you're looking for music, for content, Epidemic Sound is definitely the one that I found to be the best value of having the widest breadth of offerings. You might run into situations where you're picking some of the same stuff that other people are, but there's good music on there. Artlist is, I would say, a nice niche offering where they have still a good breadth of music, not the same breadth, and they also don't have the level of sound effects that Epidemic does, but they're good and they're different, and so I really like them. They have a reasonable referral program where they keep giving you extra months on your subscription if you refer other people, which can be nice. I'm not putting my link to that in the description below. And then Audio Blocks, which I've used, which their sound effects are probably the best of the bunch, but as far as music, yeah, I don't really recommend them. And that is my long-winded, random, honest conversation about music. Okay.